Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're putting on our cultural historian hats to trace the absolutely fascinating journey of the Sunday roast. We're going to discover exactly how this meal transformed from a basic medieval necessity into a deeply cherished modern ritual. So let's dive right into this incredible culinary evolution. When you picture a traditional Sunday roast, with its velvety, juicy meat, those perfectly crisp potatoes, and that rich, savory gravy, it really is a sensory masterpiece, isn't it? Just the thought of it triggers an immediate emotional response for millions of people. It's one of those rare meals that just instantly feels like home. But this brings us to a pretty compelling question. We have to ask ourselves, how did this exact combination of ingredients evolve past a simple rustic recipe to become a cultural anchor? I mean, this is a meal that reunites friends and family every single weekend. What is the historical glue actually holding this plate together? Section 1. The birth of a ritual. Working class ingenuity. To really understand the origins, our chronological journey kicks off in the 15th century. With King Henry VII's royal guards, they actually received weekly beef rations, which is exactly how they earned the famous nickname, the Beef Eaters. From there, the tradition transitions to medieval village serfs who, having Sundays off for church, would cleverly drop their meat off at communal ovens. Finally, it moves into private homes as the Industrial Revolution introduced enclosed ovens to the masses. You see, there was a massive class divide in how this meal was prepared. While the wealthy could comfortably roast a gigantic 15-pound sirloin for 4 hours in their massive estate fireplaces, the working class had to be a lot more resourceful. They basically utilized the local baker's oven, because bakers didn't bake bread on Sundays, to slowly cook their meals while they were busy attending church. Over time, this profound love for beef became a huge cornerstone of national identity. It literally inspired patriotic ballads like the famous 1731 song, The Roast Beef of Old England by Henry Fielding. That song became so incredibly iconic that it was, and amazingly, still is to this day, the traditional entry tune for Royal Navy and United States Marine Corps mess dinners. Section 2. Royal Rules and Bitter Herbs. Scientific Flavors. But the meat is only part of the whole shebang. You might be wondering how a sweet and sour mint sauce became the legendary, completely non-negotiable companion to a springtime roast lamb dinner. I mean, it seems like a kind of strange parent when you really think about it, right? Well, scientifically speaking, it is an absolute match made in heaven. Mint actually contains branched-chain ketones. These compounds chemically bridge the gap with the fatty acids that are released when you cook lamb. It turns out foods that share similar chemical structures just taste way better together, especially when the sheep have been out grazing on fresh, sweet clover. But historically, we actually owe this pairing to Queen Elizabeth I. She wanted to deter her subjects from eating lamb to protect the highly profitable wool industry, so she decreed that lamb could only be served with bitter herbs. But her plan completely backfired. Cooks quickly realized that mint actually enhanced the flavor, and just like that, a culinary tradition was born. Meanwhile, you have the sharp horseradish roots, which has an incredibly wild resume. I mean, it evolved from an ancient Egyptian lower back rub to a Greek aphrodisiac and even to a 17th century innkeeper's cordial meant to revive exhausted travelers. By the late 1600s, this pungent root had firmly established itself as the standard flavor-cutting side dish for roast beef. Section 3. The Yorkshire Pudding Strategy. A frugal strategy. Now, what's truly fascinating is that the next famous item we're looking at wasn't originally a side dish at all. There is a classic northern adage that says, "Them 'at eats to most pudding gets to most meat," and that perfectly captures the frugal, fat-catching origins of the legendary Yorkshire pudding. Today, it proudly shares the main plate alongside the meat, but historically, it was actually served as a filling appetizer course. The whole goal was to fill your stomach up on cheap batter first, so that those incredibly expensive cuts of beef could be stretched much further throughout the rest of the week. The crucial point here was the technique, which was just brilliant. Cooks mixed equal parts milk, eggs, and flour, and placed the batter directly beneath the roasting spit. It captured all those hot fat drippings which gave working people essential calories, and it eventually achieved maximum crispiness thanks to the incredibly high heat of northern English coal fires. Section 4. Perfecting the Sunday sides. Gravy and potatoes. No explainer of this meal would be complete without dissecting the other elements that elevate it from a simple dinner to a real feast.
Generous pours of rich gravy are absolutely critical. Think about it. The gravy acts as the ultimate unifier. It's the savory glue that ties the roasted meat, the puffed Yorkshire puddings, and the varied root vegetables together into one cohesive flavor profile.
And the science of flavor definitely continues with the potatoes. Let's be real, a perfect roast potato is no accident. It is a scientific marvel. They have to be carefully oven-baked in very hot fat to achieve that crucial, satisfying textural contrast. You know, soft and fluffy right in the middle and exceptionally crispy on the outside. Section 5. The Modern Vegetarian Shift. Inclusive dining. As our societal diets have evolved, so too has the Sunday roast, ensuring that vegetarians are never left out of the communal experience. If we compare the history, on one end we have the pioneering Crank's Restaurant nut roast from the 1960s, which was a hearty mix of nuts, wholemeal bread, and broth. Fast forward to today, and we have lavish vegan truffled Wellingtons, packed with wild mushrooms and leeks. Modern dining has brilliantly adapted this ritual to be both inclusive and incredibly delicious. Section 6. More than just a meal. A cultural anchor. So why does this specific plate endure as a strictly weekend affair in our modern, super fast-paced world? Well, with people moving away from their hometowns and their grandmother's kitchens, bustling London pubs have stepped right in to recreate that familial warmth. Some pubs are serving up to 300 portions a day, acting as surrogate dining rooms. This just proves the tradition isn't only about the food, it's about dedicated, protected time together. It all boils down to wholesomeness, having fun with your friends and your family. Whether there are only 2 chairs at a quiet kitchen table or 300 in a loud, bustling pub, the Sunday roast provides a peaceful, nostalgic interlude in a chaotic world. It gives us a structured time to just slow down and reconnect with the people we love. So, as our food culture constantly shifts and changes, I want to leave you to ponder this. How will you gather your own community to keep the spirit of the centuries-old ritual burning bright? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I hope it gave you some delicious food for thought.